Hello world, welcome to my channel. My name is Wenai, and on my channel I talk about money, investing, self-improvement, and anything that makes your life better. And today I want to talk about a boring but necessary topic, a living trust. This video will mark the last video of the year 2020. So why do I want to make a boring video that people just tend to click away? Well, if 2020 taught us anything, that would be we'll never know what will happen tomorrow. If you and your family, your friends stayed healthy and safe this year, you're not affected by what's going on in the world this year, then you're really one of the luckiest one. But there are so many stories around us on the news, on the social media, that people become suddenly ill, people pass away unexpected, people are involved in some kind of accidents, they became incapacitated at a very young age. These stories are tragedies, but what's even more sad are the families and loved ones who are left behind devastated, but still they have to deal with taking care of an incapacitated person. They have to pay your bills, or they have to figure out how to go through the probate and distribute your estate. We used to think a will, a trust, or estate planning in general are for super wealthy people, but I'm here to tell you that they're not for wealthy people only. They're for anyone who is responsible, who want to take care of their loved ones. So today I want to talk to you about living trusts. So we'll go over what is a living trust, what are some benefits of having one, and also some misconceptions of a living trust. Let's get started. When it comes to living trusts, there are two types of them. There are irrevocable living trusts and revocable living trusts. The main difference between two are the flexibility and control a trustee has over his or her trust. A revocable trust allows a trustee to make any changes, amendments along the way as long as the trustee is alive. But irrevocable trust does not allow any changes, or it's very difficult to make any changes once you sign the paperwork. So in majority of the cases, people create a revocable trust to hold their asset and carry out their will. In this video, everything we're talking about is specifically for revocable trust. So what is trust? Trust is a legal document that is created by an individual during his or her lifetime and is designed to give a designated person responsibility to manage this individual's asset in benefit of the eventual beneficiary. I know it's a little bit confusing, and I am going to explaining it in a simpler term. I'm going to use a truck to explain to you what a trust is. So here is a truck. So here's a truck. Obviously, with my amazing drawing skill, you can now tell this is a truck. So here we got our truck. And in this truck, you can have all your assets. For example, you have money, you have investment, you have your house, and you have jewelry, I don't know, whatever is valuable. And this vehicle is a trust. This vehicle is used to hold all your personal assets, right? And you, in this case, who are in the driver's seat, is the trustee, also the creator of the trust. This truck will drive along the way, right? And this road is your life, right? Along the way, let's say you bought another house. And by that time, when your truck is here, you put that new house into the trust. And down the way, down the road, you made more money, you put that into the trust as well. As you go, you put more stuff in the trust, and then you take stuff out. And at the end of the road, your asset in this trust will be passed on to your children. You have a daughter and a son. And in this case, they're beneficiaries. Most commonly, beneficiaries are also successor trustees. But if they're minor, if you have minor children, you might designate another person to be successor trustee. Let's give this person some wrinkles so we know he's old. So this person will be the successor trustee who is responsible for managing all the assets in your trust in benefit of your minor children. Okay? So again, the vehicle is the trust, the creator of the trust, and also oftenly is the trustee during your lifetime. And you can put more asset into the trust or take asset out of your trust. And beneficiaries of your trust and successor trustees, either the beneficiaries or another designated person as successor trustee in benefit of your beneficiary. So there you go. Now we know what a trust is and some terminologies within the trust. Let's go over some benefits of having a living trust. As I mentioned earlier, life happens unexpected. So my first and biggest advantage of having a living trust is the continuity of managing your asset. If you are a relatively young and healthy individual who suddenly became ill or incapacitated, your family and loved ones are left out of luck. They won't be able to access any of your asset if, let's say, there's a medical bill that needs to be paid. And even if you have money in your account, they won't be able to access that money to pay for your bills. So they will have to take on the responsibility of taking care of you and also bear the financial burden on their shoulder. And if you pass, your family have to wait for months or even years, depends on the complexity of your stay, to receive the distribution of your stay. And that brings us to the second benefit of having a living trust, which is to avoid probate. As I just mentioned, probate process itself takes months, sometimes years to finish. The whole process is lengthy and also expensive. And without the proper documentations in place, for example, a will, a court has to decide who gets what in your estate. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a judge to decide who gets my asset that I worked my whole life for. Number 3, saving money. A lot of people think the opposite of saving money when it comes to set up a living trust. And it is true, it can be costly when you first setting up the trust. But as we were saying, having a living trust bypasses the probate process altogether, which will save you a lot of money in the long run, because the probate process itself costs money, and a lot of times you do need an attorney to help you fill out the paperwork and go through the whole process with you. And we all know how much attorney charge. Lastly, privacy. Losing a loved one is very personal, and we all want to make it as less painful as possible for our families. Having a trust will make it very clear of your last will and eliminate any confusion between family members. Knowing that after you pass, your estate will be distributed exactly like you designed, and that it will be done in a private manner will give you a peace of mind. Now I want to talk about some common misconceptions of a living trust. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, in this video we're talking specifically about revocable living trusts, and in this case it does not save you tax. Because of the flexibility and the control a trustee has over his or her revocable trust, it's treated as the trustee's personal property. Therefore, it is subject to any income tax as your personal property. And that comes to the second misconception, that is, the trust will protect you from creditors, which is not true in this case for revocable trust specifically. So as I mentioned earlier, because it is considered your personal property, a creditor can go after the asset that is held under your revocable trust. The last thing I want to point out is that along with your living trust, you might also need a pour-over will. A pour-over will covers everything that is left outside of your living trust. Using the example that I used earlier, you're driving this truck along the road and you might acquire additional asset, but you don't necessarily have time to put that asset into your truck. But if anything happens during that time, before you put your asset into your trust, a pour over will cover those assets, and you do have to go through the probate, but with the will in place, you will be able to distribute them as you desire. I know this is not the most interesting topic of the year, but it's definitely necessary. And hopefully on your road to financial independence, you have everything in place to protect your loved ones. And with that, I will see you next year. Happy New Year. Bye.